Welcome back, MTG Joe here. Today we are going to be covering a bunch of different deck list ideas for the upcoming weekend's Alchemy play-in qualifier as well as the qualifier weekend. It is Alchemy best of 3 format, so Friday you'll have the qualifier play-in for your chance to play in the qualifier itself, and then you'll have the qualifier day 1 and day 2 over the weekend. About a week and a half ago we got a new Alchemy drop, so some of the decks will be in there. We're getting the data from Untapped.gg. As always, link is in the video description for the use Untapped, as well as I'll paste all these deck lists. I'm going to preface by saying there's not a huge amount of data for this format. Feelings aside, there's just not a lot of games played. So you're going to see varied percentages. There is kind of this notion that Alchemy, and it's kind of true to some extent, it's a softer ladder. It's not unusual given the pairings that you can be mythic and play against like a silver or gold rank player. So what you're going to be seeing is smaller sample sizes from diamond to mythic rank for the last 2 weeks. And it's pretty much just one person playing the deck, I would assume, in each instance. 1 or 2, just we're going to be looking at 15 game, 20 game, 30 game. If we look at standard, it's usually in the hundreds to thousands of games played with particular decks. So just keep that in mind. Don't focus so much on the win rate. These are more kind of to focus on ideas and things you can play if you do want to play in the weekend. Normally we do the popularity of the day. There's just not a huge amount of data. Even if I go to Diamond, it just says good luck, try again later. So we're not going to focus too much on that. We are going to jump into it. So like I said, we are looking March 5th through the 20th, 7,600 best of 3 matches played. For context, as always, so standard is always going to be really high, but say if we pick Explore, 28,000, we do Timeless is actually lower than it right now, which is kind of interesting. But we're doing Alchemy today, and just kind of going in decks, we have a 5-color Legends deck. Someone's doing real well with this, 95%. So a lot of Legends. Your payoff is Joda. We have the new Tajik that summons creatures to the board in the easiest sense. Jarsil, the Glissa, Crucius to kind of help you find your pieces. A card that's going to see some play across a number of decks is Arwen. 3 mana, 2/2 from the Lord of the Rings set, enters a battlefield with an indestructible counter on it. And then for a mana, you could remove the indestructible counter. Another target creature gains indestructible, put a 1/1 counter and lifelink on that creature, and a 1/1 counter and lifelink on Arwen. So it's kind of a cool way to protect your stuff. Animus Might is a fight card that gets reduced for your Legends. And then you have things like Halfling, which helps you ramp and color fix in the deck. Elven Farsight is basically kind of like a 1-mana card draw style effect for creatures, which you have critical density. Flowering of the White Tree is an Anthem effect that gives your legendary creatures ward. Frodo gets you the Ring Temptation. And there's kind of each legendary tempts you a little bit more. A little bit kind of a weird one-ofs in a lot of cases. We see one of Reprieve in here. It's just the whole Lord of the Rings gang in here. A lot of one-of choices that I can't really comment on, but the kind of call of this is you get both Great Hall of the Citadel and Plaza of Heroes as rainbow lands. Your sideboard is got just more mana fixing with planes that helps you with the Reprieves or the Doorkeeper Thralls. For enter the battlefield style effects, artifact enchantment hate, sack hate, and graveyard hate, more fight, and then activated ability hate with Drana. Then go to Naya Convoke. So Boros Convoke's still super reasonable. The Naya version gets you access to Amara, which this card's cracked in historic, and maybe even in timeless, but it's basically a time, especially in this deck, it's a free 3 mana card. So you get a free 2/3 that also brings along another Convoke card. So you can get Knight of Aaron Eos, Knight Aaron of Eos. You can get the one that makes all the tokens. You can get Conclave Tribunal. There's a lot of cool cards that you can get from it. Case of the Gateway in here. You got Synod Scout just as more 1-drops. Halfling for some mana ramp. Kellen can make you map tokens that can also then play with the Warden of the Inner Sky. In this version here, it's more like green-white splash Imiding as opposed to red-white splash like Amara. Dedicated Doll Maker can also make copies of permanents, so you get kind of that value as well. Sideboard's just like various removal options, Helix, Graveyard Hate, Artifact Enchantment Hate, Hazardous Blast, just for the kind of Convoke mirrors as well. So you got that. Then we got Abzan Midrange. So kind of your mid-range value pile. One card you'll see across a lot of lists is Porous Important. One of the best removal spells for creatures. Exile for 3, and then you get the Porous Important half enchantment. Enters a battlefield, you conjure one of the 3 little pigs. The one you'll probably get most often is one with a disenchant effect for 2 mana that exiles. So you get rid of like the One Ring, any sort of like artifact or enchantments, and then it's an anthem for your piggies. Enter the battlefield, you shut off with Thrall, but keep in mind like it will shut off your Arwen. Preachers in here, Glissas, Gix, Dread Knight. So just kind of like a value deck. Rider Tall is really good against these like black-white mirrors, just its protection, like hexproof from a lot of common removal, and then provides you with some more card advantage engine. Again, like just hate pieces, hand hate with Juggernaut Peddler. We're seeing like more Arwens for protection, Drana for all the like activated abilities, Deluge as a sweeper, Virtues as more removal in the sideboard. Going on, we have Azorius Ensoul. So this is a tokens style deck, so kind of similar in the Convoke elements, but you're using like Case of the Flitched Falcon to animate artifacts. You're using Zoetic Glyph or Mightstone animation. Not sure why it's not popping up. There we go. So you kind of get those values. So you're just taking artifacts and then souping them up. Emporium Enthusiast or Thopterist gives you an Ornithopter every turn and then makes them basically 0 mana 2/2 flyers, which is kind of sweet. So just more fodder to the deck. So you can kind of go wide, you can go tall in a variety of different manners. Some counter spells for Grandeur elements like Cryptic Coat, Steel Seraph for evasion, and then just a bunch of different removal options in your sideboard. We then go to Esper Control, so one of the more time-consuming decks to win, like 10 minutes. The big cards like Case of the Lost Witness. So 2 mana, enters battlefield, you draw a card, you shuffle a Fibblethip into your library. If you control a Fibblethip on your end step, then you get to solve the case, and then it's basically Future Sight. You get to play cards from the top of your library, as well as lands. So basically kind of the combo, if you would. Have a Rusko out, Oracle of the Alpha, and then you just like start playing Moxen and stuff from the top of your library and burn them out. Otherwise, just a bunch of different removal options, counters, sweepers, stuff like that. And then the sideboard's more the same. Just kind of shoring up your matchup. Do you need hand hate? Do you need discard? Whatever it may be to kind of hedge in those matchups. We go to Orzhov Midrange, so kind of a parallel to like the Abzan deck. A lot of the same cards. Palantir is really strong, just kind of grinding out games. If they don't remove it, just either provides you card advantage or a bunch of life gain, or like life damage, or damage to their life totals. Words are hard, but just a lot of value creatures, hand hate kind of mixed into there. And then just winning with like any kind of mid-rangey threat on your top end to kind of close things out. Sideboard, more the same. In the Grandeur matchups, you have things like Skrelv's Hive, more Radix, temporary lockdown for all the Convoke style decks, Liliana for the control decks, hand hate. Just a lot of flexibility in terms of, do you want to become more aggressive in the matchup? Do you want to become more mid-range? Mid-range heaven, so pathetic, only 81%. So a lot of the same elements that we saw, Reprieves in there, Crucius is in this version. So this version's kind of a Reanimator style deck. So you're binning cards and then you're going to use Push-Pull. And Push-Pull will allow you to put 2 cards from the two creatures from the graveyard onto the battlefield. So you kind of reanimate Trumpeting Carnosaur, as well as like you can cycle these like channel creatures. So you kind of get value that way there. Otherwise it's like mid-rangey, a lot of answers to different things to kind of kill your opponent that way there. Again, similarly, just hand hate, removal options, all artifacts and enchantments you can blow up with the cease desist side, as well as graveyard hate. So just elements like that. What's kind of cool with this is you can fetch any of your scry lands or surveil lands. So it gets you other ways to kind of fill your graveyard. But then you like trumpet it, you push pull ideally for 2 trumpeting Carnosaurs, and then you get even more value. So it's kind of like a pay 6, get like 12 mana plus in terms of value on the stack. For the mono red enjoyers, or just folks who don't want to spend too many wild cards to get in here, this is basically all standard legal cards, minus the Moria Marauder, which is from Lord of the Rings, just a double strike goblin that provides some card advantage. You have Mirren Bane Splitter as just another way to kind of flash in some extra damage, similar to Monstrous Rage. Forge in the main board. I really like Case in mono red style decks. Mishra's Foundry in there. Barrages, Stone of Eric's, Overcooks for like the grindier matchups where you just kind of pivot and have more of a grindy mid-range style effect. It also shuts off life gain. Then Squeeze in here, and then more Witch Stalker for removal. And then lastly, one of the coolest decks in the format, got a dedicated Insidious Roots kind of reanimator style deck. So it's built around like Soul Cauldron in a way, but Propagator Primordium. When it enters the battlefield, you basically create 2 copies of it in your graveyard. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a spore counter on it, remove 3 spore counters, return target fungus creature from your yard to the battlefield. So you're just like bringing things back with roots. You have Tyvar, you have Squirming Emergence, and then you have this Shittiness Crawler. 4 mana, 4/4. Beginning of combat of your turn, choose target creature in your graveyard, and then you create a copy of it. And then for Descend 8, you can exile a permanent card from your graveyard. You may play it, activate only as a sorcery, and if there are 8 or more. So basically what you can do is if you get one of these under the Soul Cauldron, and then everything that you have counters, including your Insidious Root, all have this activated ability. So you can just keep casting stuff and kind of go pseudo-infinite. You also have the Perforator Crocodile that is kind of like a Massacre Worm style effect. Just more removal, hand hates, sweepers, artifact enchantment hate, kind of all mixed into there as well. That's it. Good luck to all those competing, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching.